How many have you done? How many interviews have you done?
Not as many as you.
Oh,
Good morning, YouTube world. My name is Joshua Coates, and your overnight success story, and this is the Baby J Show. I am not going to say how many things and how many accolades this gentleman in front of me has. So I'm going to let him tell it because I would do him a disservice and an injustice saying the wrong things or saying not saying the amount of incredible things that he has done already in his career and in his life. So first off, this is Domenick Nati.
yes.
And on TikTok as Dom Natty.
Dom Natty Show.
Dom Natty Show.
Yeah.
Okay. Where do we start? Let me shut up for a second, and then I just want you to tell me, because I've read it over and over again, and I could not memorize everything that you have done so far in your life. So please tell me and tell them who you are.
I'm old now. I'm 47. I've been working in entertainment for, oh my goodness, I guess over 20 years. So started off working in movies and television in production. And then I got into being a celebrity publicist, and I still do PR, celebrity PR, and for businesses. And then 10 years ago, I was offered a show where I interview celebrities, and I've done about 400, depending on.
That's so crazy.
Well, it's a stretch of the word. I mean, there's a lot of reality TV people and stuff like that, so it depends on what you consider a celebrity. But yeah, I've got over 100 million views, so I do a lot more views than followers. And I used my PR background to get the interviews into a lot of the press. Jimmy Kimmel's aired my interviews, Good Morning America, Forbes, CNN, Fox News, like a TMZ. It was a lot more entertainment driven. And yeah, I've interviewed like Whoopi Goldberg, Gene Simmons, Bill Cosby, Howie
so
Mandel.
Crazy.
Yeah, it's fun. And then I moved here to Arizona a month ago, and it's been great. So
Wow.
yeah.
So the amount of people, that's so beautiful. I don't know how else to say it. Like that's where I want to go. That's where I'm going here. And I don't know if I want it to like. Actually don't know. I'm not gonna limit myself. But I think it's incredible what you have been able to accomplish. And so now I want to ask you because I didn't want to do too much research. I did. I looked you up. I watched as many TikToks as I could before I got annoyed of your voice, and then I did as much as I possibly could, and to see who you were, your takes on things, and what kind of content that you create, and all that kind of stuff. So, and we'll get into that later. But what I want to do is I want to start way back, because from what I've seen, and again, I could have done 40 hours or 50 or 100 hours of research on you, you know what I mean? And but I wanted to hear from you. What did it look like? What was it growing up? Like, how did you get here? Who were you?
Well, that's a good question. So I have no contacts. And I didn't know anyone in the industry. I was someone that was, I was in my 20s and I was trying different jobs. And I had over 40 jobs before I got into media and entertainment. And I was fired 11 times out of those 40. So that's, I mean, and it's something I talk about a lot because it's like everything on the outside. And I was married at the time and I just looked like a failure. I mean, it's just, can't hold it. I mean, I got fired from waiting tables at the Cracker Barrel. And I wasn't stealing or doing drugs, or even though some of my coworkers were, but I just couldn't hack it, like having a job. But I would make these videos for people's weddings, and I would just.
That's how you started?
That's how I started. Before that, I would just fascinated. Now this is 2004. And I had a big computer. And then they would sell software and these discs, where you can edit video and ingest it, and stuff. And I just would stay up till like 3, 4 in the morning just playing around with these videos, and editing, and I loved it, and I'd want to share it, so I would put it on Facebook, and I don't even know if I could do that then. No, it wouldn't be Facebook. I would just show my wife, but it was. This is all while I couldn't hold a job of waiting tables, and then I had another job, and then one day I came home early, and she knew what that meant. She was like, "Why are you home now?" I was like, "Well, when you get fired a lot, you gotta say." I was like, I don't know what happened with that manager," and she's like, and she's had the same job for like 20 something years, So she's like, "That's it." She's like, I'm going to just support us until you get a job doing your videos or whatever you're doing, because it seems to be the only thing you like to do. Mm-hmm. And I was like, she's like, I don't want you to go out, because this is in Buffalo, New York, right? So there's
okay. Thank you for okay.
So there's tons of restaurants, you know what I mean? So you just fire one, you go to another restaurant, you get a job, cooking, right? And I was like, no, what do you mean support us? She's like, I don't want you to go to any other job unless it has something to do with videos, and I'm just gonna support us with my job. And I just hated that. I was like, she's like, I don't want to hear another, because
is it because you felt emasculated?
No, it was, well, I was like, I just felt like,
it's okay to like,
I guess emasculated. Yeah. More than just that. It's just like, I knew she was right, but then I was like, well, that just motivated me. I was like, and it was like, I can't just be one of those guys like, oh, I'm going to get the band together and we're going to sell, like, I don't want to be a dreamer. And I was like, okay. So in that day, I had the phone book, and there were 80 people listed under film or photo and video. And I went to all 80. And then one guy was like, so you're a cameraman? I was like, yeah, I make videos. I'm a cameraman. He's like, what camera do you have? I was like, I don't really, I don't own it. I didn't have any money. So I was just like, and they were like, a lot of money. And he was like, so you're a cameraman with no camera? I was like, yeah.
Exactly.
And he was like, well, I got a camera. He was like, just come with me to these. You run the camera. He's a really big photographer there. And then he was like, you shoot the video, even though the brides, if they say they don't want to pay for one. And then afterwards, you could try to sell it. Or I'll sell it, and then we'll split the money. And that's what we did. Wow. And he was just a nice guy. I mean, he just saw, sometimes you see yourself in somebody where I was sitting there and I'm lying to him and I'm exaggerating. And he was like, dude, you don't have anything. I'm just talking and just making things up. And
would you consider him like your first mentor, if anything like that?
Well, he didn't really it was, I guess I wouldn't. I don't know if I'd call him like a mentor. It's just like Buffalo's a different place too. It's like I come from like an Italian neighborhood where it's like people just talk, and it's like, and you see someone, it's like, oh, this kid's like, I don't know, can I swear in here or no?
Yeah.
I was like, oh, this kid's full of shit. But I mean, but he needs a break, So it's like it's kind of like that, you know what I mean? So he was like, yeah, come with me, you know what I mean? Like, and he just liked hanging out with me, And then I might make like $300 a week. And I was like, oh yeah, but then I just loved it because I would edit them and we would go back to the bride and say, well, look, now the wedding's over, for $600, we could sell you this video because, all you got is photos. And then they got money from the gifts and they're like, all right, we'll do it. So then I get 3, you get 3, and sometimes he had a ton of money. He was like millions, So he was, they just
but
wanted
that's so cool, though.
Yeah, it's great. But that's the thing. I went to all 80, and I just learned, and I think I called all of them as well, and of course they're all like, well, you'd have no experience, so I use that to like have some sort of reel and show of my work. And then I did that until I moved to Charlotte, North Carolina. And then when I went to Charlotte, I heard about this movie they were filming in 2005 with Will Ferrell. It was a NASCAR movie. And I was like, oh, I'd like to work on that. So I met this guy in Charlotte, and he was like, well, here's the fax number. I don't know if you guys know what a fax machine is. But
it was right next to the printer.
That's how we used to DM. So it was like, the guy looked at me, he was like, you could fax in your resume. And I had it all printed out. And he was like, but I mean, honestly, man, he was like, they're not going to hire you. And I was like, you know what? That's okay. I was like, he's right. I walked out. I was like, they're not going to hire me with this. It's just wedding videos, And so I just went home and I Googled the fax number, and that showed an office location, of where the film was set up. And I was like, I'm just going to walk in there and put on a tie. And I'm going to so I walk in. And if you know anything about big movies, you gotta teach me.
I
mean, dude, this is not how you get on. So this movie turned out to be Talladega Nights, which is
I was assuming so.
Yeah, so I mean, at the time I didn't know that, but I knew it had Will Ferrell. Will Ferrell was really popular then, and I was like, so I walk in and there's like all these desks around, and it's just a set up because they're all from LA, and I have my resume, and I was like, I'd like to apply for any available. But I can't even say it out loud because if you know, there's like any available position, and it's the first desk I saw, and then this guy's just sitting there and he's looking around at the other people. Is like, what?
Like, is this guy for real?
Yeah, like what the fuck? So he picks it up and he looks at it, and it's like wedding videos, and I did some church videos, and this is and he was like, I don't know what to say. He's like, we've never had someone walk in like this. And I was just like, he's like, what do you want it? Like, what position are you talking about? And I was like, any available position. And he was like,
but this is so cool because this is such a great origin story.
It's a great story. And I tell, these are all the successes. And I'm very open about, like, dude, there's a lot of no's. These are the fun yeses.
Yeah.
And he just was like, listen, man, we got one thing we're trying to fill, and it's just driving Judd Apatow and like the directors to the set. He was like, "Do you have a car?"
Can you do
actually,
that?
he didn't even. Yeah, he's like, so the area, and I had lived there for 2 weeks. I just moved to, and I was like, "Oh yeah, I know the area well." It's just when you're, dude, you gotta lie. I was like,
when you're in survival mode.
Yeah, I mean, especially I'm just like, dude, it's so funny because now it's 20 years later, and I do the opposite. I was like, well, people are exaggerating what I could do for them, and I'm like, well, let's just see, But back then it was just like I could do anything. I could probably just direct the movie. It's like,
isn't that crazy? How like whenever you're starting, you're like, whatever I can do, I will do it. But really, I'll figure it out later.
Right.
And then the more successful you become, you're like, I don't want to promise the world, so let's not.
Is very true. Yeah, and it's it's funny because I love that kid. I love that 26-year-old. I mean, I think he's hilarious. But I now I feel like if he could see this, he'd be like, yeah. It's like hang on, dude. They're like
you'll get there.
Yeah. So that's
so cool.
And it was fun. And then they wound up having, it was me and another guy competing for the job, and his car broke down the day of the interview.
Of course, that's crazy.
It was just meant to be, and they were like, all right. And then when they called me on the next day after the interview, they were like, well, kid, you hit the lottery. It was like they're like you got the job, and they knew that I was like, I don't know what I'm doing, and
but they're like, look, you.
But they're like, I mean, but sometimes in entertainment, like it's not like who's the most qualified. It's like, you know what, this guy's like, it's like they just kind of look at you like this is a character, like so. I mean, and that's how I kept the job, because like then they didn't like me, because I learned later that I took a job from people that are in the union, the Teamster.
Oh.
Yeah. So then they
didn't even think about that.
Yeah. So it's like I didn't know. I'm driving one day with, I don't know if you know Judd Apatow is a big.
I've heard, but no, I don't know.
Directed 40-Year-Old Virgin, like.
And that's who you were driving?
Yeah, that was like I was so nervous. Like they give you a car, they give you everything, and like he's like, well, you just got to go and pick him up at this location, and then bring him to this location. And I was like, okay, and I'm just like, oh my god, I can't, and I don't now. I don't have GPS because it isn't invented yet. It's 2005, so I have MapQuest.
I was just about to say, when you printed out the...
Yeah, so he sat in the back, and then I would hide this MapQuest on my left side. Like he would sit here, and I would just be like...
looking down.
2.3 miles. And I was like, 2.3 miles. It was like, so you got to like calculate, and I'm just like, but I'm like, oh yeah, no, I know the area anywhere you want to go. And I'm like, and they don't, after a while, it's just like, dude, we were here already. This is a circle. Like, nah, it's just...
It looks the same, all the trees. And
yeah, so luckily they're not from there. Like, dude, I mean, it would just take forever to get,
Yeah.
But, and yeah, like, so then they tried to get me fired because they were like, dude, this guy is, who is this guy?
Yeah.
Like, he's not even a part of the union. My friend wanted this job. He took it from him. How do you get in? So one day on the set, Judd, he just looked at me and he was like, do you understand that he picked up his phone and he called the office of the driver transportation. And he was like, how come Domenick doesn't have the kit in the packet, like where we're going and what we're shooting? And they're like, why doesn't he have that? And they're like, oh, I don't know. He's like, did you tell him that, like, because he started asking me, he's like, why don't you have the information? And I was like, I don't know what information. I was like, there's a packet every day.
So they just didn't prepare you?
They didn't tell me. They wanted me to fuck up so that I could, So then he saw it, and I didn't even know. He's like, he hung up the phone. He's like, do you understand that nobody likes you and they want you fired? And I was like, no. I was just like, he was like, Dom, they're all this stuff for the next day. Like, obviously, it's all like ready for you. You have to go they're supposed to be giving it to you. He's like, they're trying to get ready. So he called them. And really, because by that time we had been joking and stuff, and he was just like, I think he saw that I didn't know anything about anything, but it's like, it's just, I guess my personality.
But your personality, and you were trying.
Yeah, and he was trying to, and these guys, they did the same thing. He started telling me his stories of like, oh, dude, when I was a kid, we used to dress up like vendors and go into like the Madison Square Garden and like we'd sneak into concerts dressed as, like they like that, and I was like, he started to find. He was like, so you don't really know what you're doing. I was like, I don't know. He's like, and you don't know where you're going. I was like, I don't know. I just moved here. He was just like, but it's like they're like, it's a fucking goofball, and it's like, but I like him, So that it's like that. But I would say my big break. And then after that, it's like. Then it
was like exponential.
Oh, after that, like
so okay, so let's because I'm sure you could just like speed forward. Yeah. No. I want you to I want you to talk about this because it's cool, and I'm being very honest with you. Like for me, in my opinion, it is cool that you've interviewed all of these celebrities, but I don't care about them right now.
Okay,
I want to talk about you. Because it's you who interviewed all of them. And whether they called you or whether they didn't call you, doesn't, whoever called who, it doesn't matter. You were the one who's doing the interviews. So now you, they found favor in you. They liked you, the people who you were driving around. So before the exponential growth, like what happened from that point? Did they introduce you to people? Did they what happened in your life? Like looking back, connecting the dots,
Yeah, it's self-promotion. So, and that's a good question. So now I have a credit, and if you roll the credits, they said my name, and now I have an IMDb, and it's like, okay. And then you just look at that and say, okay, well, that movie did really well. It's 20 years later, and you've heard of it. Yeah. Maybe you've seen it, and I
love it.
And you're young, and maybe I could say the name of that, and they're like,
there's so many memes that came out of that movie. Yeah, so for sure.
And it's 20 years ago, and we shot it 21 years ago, and it's but at the time I was like, this is good, and then it did really good at the first weekend of the box office, and I was like, all right, now when I meet people, I'm not a wedding videographer. I'm like, hey, I just got done. We just wrapped Talladega Nights, and it's like, again. So it's like, it's like, oh, did you? I mean, I worked on it. I worked with Judd.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, it's just, which is technically true, I mean, but really, I just drove, so it's. But it's like now I think
funny. This is where this is why I kind of wanted to ask you is because like I almost I don't say almost I don't have the same backstory as you do, but I tried school so many times. I failed college 3 times. I wasted so much money. But I thought that I was supposed to do that, even though I was a creative person. My parents, I love my parents. My mother and father, they support me so much, and I'm doing this to then build the empire so that way I can finally take care of them. That's the biggest thing that I want, and that's the why, I guess, if you want to call it, for me doing the very best in anything that I do. However, I tried to do what they instilled in me, which was school and going the corporate route or the job route, and I could never figure it out, and I always felt like a failure. And so I kept doing jobs. I worked at GNC. I worked at AT&T. I worked at, oh my God, all the all the acronyms. I worked at all like just like how you were saying, all these different places. IHOP at the third shift, so I could do two other jobs, Chipotle as one of the kitchen managers, and then In and Out, so that way I can make some extra money. And so it sounds so familiar. You have more wisdom than me. I want you to understand that I recognize that. But what I'm noticing is just like there's so many similarities here where it's like I just want to figure it out. And so I did lie to get into concerts, to shoot photos. I'm assuming it got harder and harder as the years progressed for you or for me, because they didn't have the facial recognition and all the other things that like technically, the security has now. But all I'm saying is like, I respect that so much that like you did all of those things to I don't want to say weasel, but that's what I did. Like to weasel my way into these opportunities, because if not, how else were you going to get these opportunities? So anyway,
Yeah.
I wanted to give you that respect, because like that's literally how I feel.
You should be. Listen, and that's the thing. Listen, education's great, and it's great for a lot of fields.
I agree. Yeah.
And it's like, but I've had interns and people coming from college, and they're like, they intern with me, and I was like, listen, man, you guys are so useless. Like, I'm really glad that you're great at taking tests. I was like, this is what you don't understand. It's like, you're looking at me, and I get it. You think and that I'm an expert in PR or whatever it is that you're interning for. I was like,
Yeah.
In my world, that doesn't help me to think of myself like that. I was like, when you're creative, it's like, well, here's the best way for you to do your podcast. So Joshua knows, he knows like, no, you don't know, like like you see me coming in here and it's like, well, Domenick will know how to run the podcast. But honestly, this is the best setup. I didn't have a setup like this. Like, so now someone could come in and have an idea that changes your whole concept, and it could work. Mm-hmm. And it's like, oh, but that guy wasn't even qualified. Like, but dude, this is creative. It's like, but I've interviewed so many more people than you. Like, what I say is right. Like, that's not true. Some kid come here from ASU and just have an idea and just you go viral, and it just changes. And so that's true. How things work. It's like, it's not about education. It's like, honestly, like if one of those interns would have just threw out shitty ideas all the time and then one of them's good. Like I have a friend that does that. He's full of terrible ideas. And then 1 in 10, I was like, dude, that's actually a good idea. Like when I was doing my interview, he was like, you should interview this person. I was like, bro, no. Like, well, they made this meme. It's funny. I was like, dude, I'm going to interview them about the meme. And then he would never stop. He's like, he's pretty weird. And like, I was like, he didn't care though. I was like, no, dude, I'm not doing that. He's like, and then once in a while I was like, actually, that is a good idea. Like, but I would always hear him out. And then, we were close. So I was like, yeah, but that's the thing is like, dude, it's not about that, So, I know we're talking about two different things. So as far as the education part, I understand your parents, like they think that that's important. If this is your dream, they really can't help you, and my family is all introverts. They don't understand what I'm doing, and it's like, and I have friends that just sit there and like, they'll watch all my posts and they have input. And I was like, bro, you're not funny. Like, dude, but if their kid had something to say, I was like, okay, like I'd rather hear what your 18-year-old kid has to say. And I mean that, like, so that's like, that's the thing is just knowing what you want to do and doing it. And it's funny because when you talk about like weaseling into places, I'll tell you a quick story, but
yeah, please.
So for years, that was what I did. I'd go to like red carpet events. I go to award shows, stuff like that. And then I would there was something about being in that room when I wasn't on the list, and I,
Right?
yeah, and it's like I was like, "God, dude, I shouldn't be here. Like, look at all these people. Like, oh my God, I know that. Like, I know who that is over there. Like, I shouldn't be in this room." And I talked my way into it, or I snuck in through a door or something. Like, and I just there's such a thrill to that,
It's the
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's like, and that's what's fun. And then a few years ago, I went to all these parties at the Super Bowl, and I brought these two girls, and I was like, "Hey, do you guys want to go with me?" It's like we'll go to. I'm on the list for all these parties, and then every time, we'd walk up, and then this guy was walking out the door, this back door, and I grabbed it, and I was like, come on. And then the girls were like, all right. I was like, oh, and then we walk in, and then we just slipped it, and I kept doing that, like slipping past or whatever. And then one of the girls, were leaving an event, and she was like, wait. And she goes up to the person like that. She goes, is Domenick Nati on the list? Because she's a friend. It's gonna sound one way, but they were like, yeah, Domenick Nati +2, right? And she was like, what is wrong with you? Or no, I was like, what? She's like, why are we sneaking in?
Oh.
And I was like,
Oh, I see what you're saying.
And I was like,
because it's fun.
I was
like
like,
that.
and it hit me because the last thing we went to is this
Oh my God.
private event where 50 Cent and Pop Smoke were there, and I did it again. And then when we walked out, she noticed that people had wristbands, and then we didn't. And she was like, and she did it. She checked with the people, and they were like, "Yeah, you guys should have." She was like, "Do you know I checked again with the front, and the wristbands that were for you and us were for us to be on stage?" And then she was like, "What is your problem?" And I was like, I mean, it's like. I said, I guess I've just been sneaking in this stuff for so long that it's like, I don't feel comfortable with I didn't know. Now, if I would have known that we were I don't know why they didn't have to do that. I really wasn't that big, but that's what they did, and I was like,
Which is cool. That's really cool.
yeah, I was like, she's like, because all these girls know me now. It's like, you don't understand. Like, you know me as an adult, like that. You know me as a celebrity guy.
Yeah, the celebrity.
In my head, I'm not that person. Like, I shouldn't be here. I should be on stage with 50 Cent. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and it's just like, but they can't understand, and they're like, why are you like that? I was like, because you just don't know. You don't understand. Like, I've snuck in these events for 10 years.
Yeah.
Now that I'm asked to be on the stage, it's like, now some people do. Some people say like, well, I should be on the stage, but that's not how I see myself, So I was disappointed for them, Well,
it's actually interesting. Here, let me ask you a question real quick, just because, but that's crazy. And okay, so my question is that did you think, or was it your desire to be a celebrity interviewer?
No, I wanted,
go ahead. No, please.
No, I loved television and I loved production, and what I had to realize, and this is important for people that are going in, like when I looked around, especially after the movie, honesty with yourself is so important. I was like, hey, Dom, you're not as good as them. Like,
in terms of actor?
No, I'm saying I liked the production part of it. But when I looked at the people that were there, I was like, I'd like to be, working on films and writing scripts and, directing. And it was okay. It wasn't my dream, but I was like, dude, you're not that guy. Like, you're good enough. You're a talker.
I was about to say, so do you want to, so in your head, you were talking to yourself about yourself saying, I want to push or promote my personality as opposed to my love and skill, or not skill per se, but like my love and desire to be in production for movies.
Yeah, it was like you just got to assess yourself and say, do I really want to just be sitting here behind the scenes? And is that the right place for me? It was like, because those guys, you look at them all and they're
introverted.
They're introverted, and I like attention, and
Same.
Yeah. So it's like, it's okay Now, being a publicist, it's easy to just be very open of like, sometimes I get my clients like in their local newspaper. And this happened to me last year. And I was just like, and I saw it on his posts and stuff.
Yeah.
And I got jealous of him, even though I said it all. I mean, that's what he paid me to do. And I was just like, well, people should be writing an article about me, and it's like, it's okay because that's what I did. I went and I wrote a press release about myself because I just like,
good for you.
But it's like, it's like, I like attention and I like to make people laugh, and you look at the people that are behind the scenes, really, I was like, bro, you're not that guy, So the interview part was that the one thing that I did early is that I'm so used to people bullshitting, including myself. And I was like, yeah, but how do I prove, like when I worked at Talladega Nights, I was like, how do I prove that I'm here? It's like, just a story. I didn't know they were going to put me in the credits. I was not important. They did it because, I guess they said
they liked you.
Yeah, they liked me. Yeah, but not
after all of that. They liked you.
Yeah. So it was like, but I didn't think. I was like, I gotta get a picture. I gotta get a picture with Will Ferrell, and I gotta get a picture with all. So
Did you?
And that's what. Yeah, and that's what.
So cool.
But so I thought of that 21 years ago, before there was no selfie, and then there was and you had to get a camera and then wait.
Because that's your notoriety. That was like your.
I was like, I need that picture bad. Like I need that picture more than it'll prove to people. And then there's no AI. Like this is just, if you have that picture, then people are. I mean, that's gold. They're like, then it happened. There's no, So that's how it was then. And then when I post that picture, I look at people's response, and it's like,
and they're like, my God, especially back then.
Especially back then, yeah. Now nobody gives a shit, but yeah, I mean,
no, it's not that. Yeah, it's not that at all. I'm trying to give you praise over here because like if I would have seen the time where like Facebook had just started, and like you have your family photos and you got like your Instagram just became a thing and you have like those filters and then I saw you, like, let's say I would see you with one of those first Instagram filters with you and Will Ferrell and I don't know whoever else was there. That would, like, for me, perception is reality. Mm-hmm. And that's what I've been operating on. And I really don't like the term fake it till you make it. I much rather operate off of perception as reality because that's what's happening in actually, you would know more than anybody.
Yeah.
Talking to all of these people. Like, they might not have what they say they have.
Yeah.
Or maybe they do have it, but they're spending as much as they're making, or spending because I don't know. I'm not a celebrity.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Not yet.
That's right. It's coming.
Yeah. But a smart celebrity, let's say that. But yeah, so like it's just that's how I operate. That's my mental. But something else that you said is that you sometimes, and I mean, it's okay to be vulnerable here. Like, that's one of the reasons why I started this podcast, is that we could talk to people with as high of a caliber as you, and learning about you. You said that you sometimes don't feel like you deserve to be in those places.
Right.
Where does that come from? And the reason why I ask is because I feel like, and I'm not you, obviously I don't live in your head, I don't want to, but from everything that you have fought to get into and to do, it would seem as though you deserve to, even if you're sneaking in there, you deserve to get on that stage with 50 Cent, because let's just even go from the very bottom. You snuck into the thing for 50 Cent, and so you deserve to be on stage with 50 Cent. Let's not do like a little bit. Like, if we're gonna take an inch, let's take a mile.
Yeah.
So where does that come from? And how, like, you know what I mean? Like,
I guess I think that after meeting hundreds of celebrities, I think I realized like that it's kind of like who you are before it happens, right? So it's like if you're like arrogant and you feel like you deserve that, and then it happens, then you're like, yeah. Or if you, okay. And I think that that's, you become that person when that starts to happen. or if you just like, to me, I just felt like I was like having fun and I just got a kick out of getting into things, and I'm still like that, and it's like, and it's just, I don't like people that require you to treat them a certain way. And then because I don't do that to people, so it's like, but if you are one of those people and then success comes here, it's just like money, what I mean? Money and fame are very similar, and I always say that fame is more difficult to manage than money, because money, like, there's so many people that say, hey, all you got to do is invest here. When you become famous, there's no one that can help you. And you, all of a sudden, you become famous. And
Please elaborate, because
Yeah.
I've never.
I'll explain that. Like, you can win the lottery, and you can find people, a lot of people that will assist you to really, that have a track record of saying, this is how it's going to be now, Joshua. Like, you're going to buy this and you're going to invest here and here, and you're going to, like, it's like, oh, that's sound advice. Thank you for your guidance. If you become famous, like, and then you're like, well, dude, I don't understand. Like, I can't walk out, like, everything I do and say is like, people are critiquing me. And it's like, I just wanted to go to the store, and it's like, I don't feel like taking pictures with everybody. And like, and that's like, it's like, how do I manage these emotions? And it's like, I can't help you with that, because like, there's nothing I could say to you to explain how your life is going to be now, and it's like, because it's emotional. It's not, money is tangible. But it's like, well, but guys, I just want to be like, feel like normal for a second. Like, well, that's not how it is. Like, how do I manage all these people coming at me and these questions? And now it's like, I'm just trying to be myself, and everyone's misunderstanding what I'm saying. It's like, what do I do? Someone help me. It's like, I can't help you with that, because I don't know how you're going to feel. And it's a lot, I'm not saying I'm fame. I'm saying that this is part of a publicist's job, is I can spin things when you fuck up, but I can't teach you, like, make sure that you do this and this and this today. It's like, even if I could guide you, it's like, it's stressful. It's like, oh my God, like people are coming at me all these different angles, and you can't manage that. So you just got to learn yourself, like, how to deal with it.
I love how you said it, though. Like, is that fame
is more difficult to manage than money?
Wow.
Yeah, because that is my job, is to help people manage their fame. And I tell them, I was like, I can't do that for you, because I don't know what part is going to stress you. Like, and it's just like, I don't know what to tell you, Josh. You're going to have to go to the store. Or like, you're going to have to go, like, I don't know what's going to happen there. And then in that moment, you might just be like, bro, get the fuck away. You know what I mean? Like, can I just have a moment to it's like, well, oh, Tom, why didn't you tell me? I was like, bro, I don't know where you're going to hit your limit. Like, I didn't know that person was going to run up to you. And there's, like, I mean, there's, and that's.
You've had yourself a level of fame, and you've talked to all these people. So what is the thing that you have, it's been difficult to manage? Like, what part of that for you?
I think that it's learning to try to always think of it from one of the things for me was like, when I would go live a lot, and then my show started getting an audience, and then I was like, genuinely, I was like, I love to like entertain people. I just wanted to have fun, make people laugh. And then it changed to where I realized, I was like, dude, like, some of these people are really emotionally attached to me, and I was like, because it's this, right? So this is me in my I was in an apartment, at the time. And I was like, it's just me. I'm just screwing up. But that's not how it is on the other end of this. Is like, it was women. Like, they would, I'm 47. Some of them were older, and like, maybe like, and they would mess with, like, oh, you make me laugh. Like, you really help with my depression or whatever. Like, realize they're just seeing this. And it's like, and it turned into this thing where I was like, they just got like too much. I was like, guys, like, you're like, I'm just a guy who going live, you know what I mean? And it's, but that's not, they don't see that. And they see that, and it turned into like a big problem where I was like, I kind of like had to stop. I was like, you guys are coming on really strong. I appreciate having like fans and stuff, and like, but like it's difficult to manage because you're not thinking of, dude, you're a person on that screen, and in their head, it's like they don't care. They don't know what it's like to be a creator. They just know what it's like to be a viewer and a fan. So you can sit there and keep yourself humble all you want, and that's a great thing to do. But it's also good to realize, like, hey, like you can't make yourself too accessible, because
Interesting.
yeah, and it can get really weird, and that's what I'm saying. I couldn't manage my own level of fame where I was like, don't they understand I'm just like going live from my like little shitty apartment? Like they don't, to that screen, it's like,
but and that's the whole point of the algorithm in social media, though, is to, I mean, I'm a nerd when it comes to that. That's literally what I do for work, is to, and we kind of talked about this whenever we had our conversation before the podcast, is that like, that's what I love to do. I am such a nerd whenever like I'm taking a shit in the morning and all I'm doing is like looking at like different trends and like, and how and what words and to put in what to then incentivize a woman to then fall in love with a 47-year-old Dom Nati, Dom Nati show, Domenick Nati, and figure out how to make that woman fall in love with him.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that is the whole point. Unfortunately, it was supposed to make people come together and social media and become more social, but it's that's what it does.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, and so yeah.
Well, if you're not like, I'm happy, like I was creating content 20 years ago, and then no one really knew. You start to get fans, and they don't, like I said, when you become a creator, then you look at it and say, I mean, dude, this is some guy, like this is like, even the girls, right? It's like, oh my God, she's so hot. But when you start seeing at a bar, like a girl, like,
yeah.
And now all of a sudden, it's annoying. You know what I mean?
It's that, but then they shut it off.
They shut it off.
And
they
then,
got their light. They swipe all their filters, and then you're like, wait a minute, dude. Like, I thought the girl's super hot, and it's like, but if you see this,
she was at that angle.
Yeah, and that's what, and that's how it is. It's content creating. It's the same way. It's like, oh, you're that guy with the interviews all the famous people. Like, you must be. It's like, bro,
perception is reality.
Yeah. So it's like. And that's what you don't think about if you don't create. You're just like, oh, that's all, and it's like, but if you see the girl at the bar that's got, 500,000 followers, it's just like, I fucking hate that girl. Like, dude, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, that's what it is. It's like, you don't see that. And today it's different. But back then it was like, hey, dude, I'm just making some YouTube videos.
How is it now? Like, how do you see it now?
Now, like, I think I find it fascinating. As far as when you say now, are you saying like, how do I see content creation now?
Yeah.
I think it's great. Like I was expecting change, and if you've worked in any sort of entertainment and you're thinking that's going to stay the same, then you're not thinking, So yeah. It hurt me, because there's so much competition, and like,
Which, by the way, you are phenomenal on TikTok. I don't know, like, whenever we spoke, you played yourself down so much, and then you obviously you said in the beginning of this millions of millions of views. Great, yes, you have done that, but like the way that the way that you communicate through the phone, the way that you're doing your green screens, the way that you're talking to the algorithm. It's like but it's probably because you're a publicist. It's probably because, so where does that skill come from?
It's a combination of a lot. So it's like, I was an editor, a video editor back when,
when you were a real video editor.
Yeah, when we were, so now looking at, you dumb it down to CapCut, not dumb it down, it's a thing, but it's like, that I could just do. I mean, I used to have to wait and render things, and we're like, okay, well, we'll be able to watch it in like 35 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
Or maybe 2 hours. Yeah, it could be hours, and it's like, now I'm like, export. Like
30 seconds and done.
Almost like, this is unbelievable. Like,
Yeah.
and that's just like, I mean, so I am a good editor because I've been doing it for so long. And then also like, I think that I'm really big. Like I watch kids and I'm like, oh, good. But I don't watch TikTok and you don't either, like about like other people go like, that's funny. I'm like, oh, I see what you did.
Yeah.
Like, okay, that's a good idea. And you brand yourself. So I could steal someone else's thing, but then I'll do a green screen and then I'll say something like a one-liner, whatever. But the point is to get me views. So I like your video. I'm going to steal it. And then I'm going to put a little spin on it and make sure my face is on it and bring the attention to me. And that's just the way it is, So it's like not a lot. And then some of it is just kind of you just get concepts from other people, and then
so you started out as this wedding video guy, which then turned into a video editor, which then turned into a public. Not a public persona. I don't know. Like, what's a better term for it? Like, you became a personality.
Personality, yeah.
So then, and then now, like, let's go from right there. So you became the personality. Then what happened after that? That then just blew up your career.
So I would say, I'm sorry. So taking photos of when I was in those moments, and then I kept doing that. I saw how people reacted to the Will Ferrell picture, and then I would be at events, and then I realized. And this is very simple now, but you got to understand, like 15, 20 years ago,
at the time,
I was like, oh, dude, that guy's right over there. Like, I'm at this, so I just go take a picture with them. They don't know that everyone's going to think I know them. Like, it's so, like I said, now you got to think back to like the people were not doing this. And I was like, hey, can I get a picture with you? Is that okay? So like, and I'd sit there and be like, okay, now I was like, I'm going to post it. And they'd be like, man, you're hanging out with this. I was like, yeah, you're hanging out. Dude, it was like, but now people know, like, oh, well, you just met, like, but they didn't know that. Like, I was thinking of that 20 years ago.
That was so smart.
So, and then, my other people, when we're at these celebrity events, you're with, usually the celebrities are in one area and the people that are with them are part of the event, and I would run over and take a picture, and like, they're like, what are you doing? I was like, well, I just wanted to pick, like, oh. And then eventually one of my friends was like, should I be taking pictures of people? I was like, oh, you see how they react on my Facebook, and he's like, oh, and it's like, but people weren't thinking, but I guess that's because I was so full of shit that I was like, well, I got to prove that I'm here. Like me being here for my own little story doesn't matter. It's like me proving that I'm here and then posting it.
So much credibility.
Yeah. So it was just kind of having that foresight to, and then I would do that. And then eventually this guy, he was just like, dude, you should have a show on my station. And I was like, I don't know, dude. Like, I don't really like radio. I like video and, whatever. He was like, and he was just great. I had a FM show before that, and I lasted like 3 or 4 months, and I got kicked off because I didn't swear. I wouldn't swear like on FM radio or whatever. But I would push the boundaries because that's just the way I was trained. You know? I mean, I was like, well, you gotta push, like, and they were super corny, like, oh, today we've got Vito's Pizza. Like, what is it like having your own pizzeria here in town? I was like, yeah. Like, I would just be like, bro, like, I would tell them, like, I'm not doing that.
I'm not that guy.
And they're like, well, he's one of ours. They pay a lot of money. I was like, I don't want to, who gives a shit? What is it like to own a pizzeria? Like, I was like, but, and then I would do interviews there, and they're like, and I would push the boundaries of comedy, and like the students liked it, and then people would have it playing in their in their business, and they would shut it off when I would come on, and they would call the station. And this was in Virginia. It was really conservative, and I was like, okay. And then I was like, I'm done with radio. And this guy in 2016 was like, no, do you post these pictures with celebrities? Why don't you just interview them, and I'll give you a show. And I was like, all right, well. And I was like, he's like, oh, it's a 20-minute show, just interview people, and that's it. And I was like, no. I want a full hour, and I'll do these skits because I'm really funny, and I got all these ideas. And he goes, okay. And then he let me do that, and then I got like exhausted making a 60-minute show, and I was like, hey,
I'll do 20 minutes.
Yeah, I was like, nobody likes my funny skits. Like, I think they're funny. He was like, and he was the best. His name is Earl. It's called Intellectual Radio. in Chicago, and he never even like threw. I go, why don't I just do the interviews? And then he was like, okay, yeah, whatever. Like, obviously, I'm saying, bro, you're right. This is like, because nobody cared. They're like, aren't you like the celebrity guy? Like, and it's like, so what do they have to say? And I was like, okay. And then I started doing that, and then, you know, we did that for years, and then but it was, the problem is just the way I did it. Like, I have all these friends at TMZ, and I would watch tabloids, and then I would be there, and it was like, well, you know, what about this allegation? You know, because I was like, I knew that would get the views, and I knew that I know all the editors. So
you knew what to say.
Yeah, I was setting people up. Like in real life, I'm not like that. Like I'm not like manipulative and be like, oh, I'll get. But it's just in that mode.
But I understand because so one of my clients, millions and millions of views. We've coined him Arizona's favorite cowboy, and Copper State Redding Club. Love you, TJ. and what, thankfully, he trusted me, but on the on-screen text, I would have to say, not have to, but in order to get views, first black-owned black cowboy, and people loved it and hated it, and it got views. Millions of views, and now people all over Arizona and people in California and other states, they're like flocking over here to do stuff with him. And so it's great, and I'm grateful that he trusted me. But like you have to know, and that's the thing. I don't know as much as you know. And so you knew what to say and how to say it. And that's kind of what I was like looking at with your content, because I was like he says things like I'm trying to listen to, you know, you're weaving in and out of the in your content, like saying stuff about like Erica Kirk and saying stuff about what was it, Ja Rule, and to be honest with you, and because I believe you, but if I wouldn't have gotten some of that, some of the stuff looks AI now. Like the way that you have it like cut out, like cut up, like you on either the bottom half or top half, and so like I would have never known, like it could have been AI, but having read all of your stuff and like getting to know you, like I know it's real. But anyway, just you having to say certain things. I understand that. Not to the full extent of it, but I can only imagine like what it looked like back then, to have to say and do and present a certain way to get views. Like, how was that even with TMZ? Because that was a different time.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because you build this whole thing, and then like I posted a picture with this athlete, Bam, I can't remember, he just scored like 83 points or something, and I was like, oh, I got a picture with him. And that was another, he was at the airport, and I didn't even know who he was, but I just knew he was a basketball player, and I figured it out later. And, but then he scored 83 points, I think, like a few weeks ago, and then I posted it, and then it's like, this is AI. And I look at the picture, I was like, bro, it doesn't look like I'm actually next to him. Like
really?
And I mean, I posted it years ago. But then I posted it again, and and that's these kids. It's like, this is AI, and I was like, who would have thought all this effort I put? And they're just like, this is bullshit. I can make this a Chat GPT. I'm like, yeah, but it's not. Like, it's like
that's so crazy.
Yeah, it's like he's like you like, and that's like the interview. It's just I'm on the top screen. He's on the bottom screen, and it's like. Yeah, but how do we know that that's happened? I was like, what do you mean? Like, dude, I mean, now, luckily, it's a live that you can go back if you care enough, which nobody's going to do. It's like, it's on my Instagram. And then it's a long interview, like that, but it's funny because it's like everything I did could be so easily made and faked right now. And I was like, but I really did that, So what is real is like the news articles, and it's like, well, they're not writing, and it was before AI. How did you? I think the question was TMZ. Like, how did you
navigate like the algorithmic, like before the algorithm was TikTok and Instagram and hashtags and on-screen text? Like, how did you know to do all of that? Like at that time, because like it was a different kind of quote unquote algorithm.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess like because I have a short attention span and like I just would always look at it as a viewer. And that's what the thing is, like you're hosting right now, and you're smart enough to realize nobody wants to watch this for like 2 hours. Right. So I'll watch 25 seconds, or 30, but I was realizing that, 10 years ago, I was like, bro, you're not going to watch my whole interview. Like it's boring. And then even when it's like, oh, this is a cool part about me. And it's like, but you just honestly look at it and it's like, and nobody cares. Like nobody cares about that part. Like it's just about what they said. And I would just be, even though there's parts I was like, that was pretty funny when I said that. It's like,
But that won't.
but they don't care. It's about them being a celebrity, and they said something wrong, and like you just take that, and that's the clip, and it's like, and then I was like, okay.
You know what's so interesting about this world now, like social media and the algorithm now, is that like you're correct and not correct at the same time, and it's so because what you think will pop, sometimes doesn't pop. And then what you think is a shitty little video will explode.
Right.
And it might not have to be anything negative that you said or positive that you said. It could be that you were wearing that maroon shirt, or it could be that you said something and then you coughed and then like so it's such a, and that's why this is the nerdy part about me, is that like about what I do and all this stuff, is that like I find it so fascinating that like, yes, because I look at that. There was a time where you had to be almost unruly, and you had to find the moments, whether it's a video or a photo, or like to create some sort of narrative. And then now it's like we do this whole podcast, right? But now it's more who is watching for this person because it's mine, and then obviously who is watching for you whenever, because they want to hear you. They want to hear Dom. And sometimes they could care less about your guest.
Yeah.
Because they like you, because they like your personality. And then like all of these little clips that you could come out of it. Again, it could pop, it could flop, whatever. and it has nothing to do with what you know about, it has everything to do with your audience.
Yeah. That's a really good point. Actually, that brings me to, that's a part of my problem. So like when I got divorced, I got single, I got a lot of attention from females, right? So, because I had like, you 40 years old.
Here, before you continue,
yeah.
I'm gonna do a the live cutoff.
Yep.
So I'm gonna do I was saying intermission.
You got a sponsor?
My sponsored ad.
Yeah.
I am my own ad. So I'm gonna run that, and then I'll be right back. So do not forget your point.
Okay.
This episode is brought to you by 5 Flash Media.
Hey, don't you have an event coming up that you need live video production for?
I think I do. Who should I call?
You should probably call 5 Flash Media, and you can reach them on all social medias at 5 Flash Media.
Okay, I'm going to do that because I heard that they're the best at everything. Anything video, photography, mobile podcasting. I mean, who's doing our show right now?
5 Flash Media.
Go to 5 Flash Media on all platforms.
Nice. All right, we are back, everyone. I got a couple texts saying the live cut off.
Oh,
and
okay.
So,
that was good that I let you know.
Yeah. Well, I need to get a monitor over here and then stream all the things over here so that way I can see all of it. But it's already a lot for me right now.
No, I think you got a good setup.
Thank you. Okay, so so you were just talking about how, do you remember your point?
I do.
Okay, please go.
So when you said some people tune in for, you don't realize that people are not tuning, who they're tuning in for, and it could be you. And I think that was something that, that I learned. I was married for 20 years, separated for 4, right? So I'm newly single at like 40 or 41, and I was, it was a female friend of mine, and we were talking, and I was talking about how I was getting a lot of attention from girls, because it's like you start, if you're 40 years old, and I have this social media following, and I started doing well, like meeting beautiful women, through social media, not like in person.
Yeah. Well, good for you, though.
Because I'm just, so I was like, because they would, they talk to me and stuff, and because they were following, and I was like, oh, I'd like to take you out, and a lot of people would just say yes, so I would have this understanding. I was like, listen, I know what's going on, like, because I'm talking to a female friend of mine. I was like, yeah, this girl's like, I was like, I think she models. I was like, she just wants like promotion. I was like, I know that, she's talking to me. I was like, and then after a while, her name's Dawn. She's my friend, and she was like, why is it that every time you talk about yourself, or like with like being desirable, like it always comes back to like who you interview, like what you do for work? And I was like, well, I mean, why are these girls talking to me? Like they just, whatever. She was like, do you think that no one like likes you for you? And I was like, I guess no. Like it's
a good question.
I was like, they don't though. It's just like, and she was like, it's like you act like we don't want to be around you. Like I was like, we just think you're fun, and you're funny. Like it's like every time you think of someone, you're like, well, they're just using me, and that's kind of the difficulty when you interview people that are more important than yourself. And then you're just like, okay, it's just about them. It's like it's like, because I'm around them, that's what makes me important. Or I'm interviewing them, that like nobody likes me or like my personality. It's like it's always about who I know, and that's like, and she helped me realize, she's like, we don't care. Like you're always just talking like we think, because I am fun. Like when I go out, I'll dance, I'll drink, I'll like, like, and they're like, it's like, we don't care about your interviews. Like we just like hanging out with you. I'm like, and you kind of can forget that. And then you can also forget that as, an interviewer and creator. And that's like when I used to go live, I was like, I'd get sometimes more views there than I would if I had a celebrity on. Mm-hmm. And I would just,
because they came for you.
Yeah. And it's like, that's the part that I had, it was difficult for me, because you can just say, because you go to these events and you get introduced. Hey, this is Domenick, this is what he does. And you stand there while someone does an introduction. He works with celebrities, he does PR, and he does and then you just like let them get it all. It was like, hi, it's like, it's weird, but it's part of it,
Yeah.
And you're at these parties in Hollywood, and like it's just, and that's just the way it is, So then you just start to see yourself like this is what makes me valuable, and me as a person. And actors have this problem a lot too, where it's like they're weird in interviews and they're kind of awkward because they're like, well, I'm just good at being someone else. And that's
that's interesting.
Yeah. So actors are very awkward in person, because what makes them good actors is they say, hey, you're not Joshua, you're Michael. Mm-hmm. And Michael is a shy, introverted, nerdy guy, like, or like whatever it might be, like opposite of yourself. And what makes people a good actor is like, good, because I don't really like Joshua, I'm going to be Michael. And that's a lot of what makes a good actor is actually not a really good thing, because it's like they don't like themselves. So you tell them who to be, and they're like, I'll be that person.
That's interesting.
Yeah. And then when I would drive them to the set, and like, they're really weird, and they don't, because they're like, well, now you're not, you're just Joshua. And it's like, well, who is that? Like, what do I do now?
How do I be myself?
How do I be? Yeah.
Because they've practiced this other persona and this other character for hours and hours and days and months and years almost for some roles probably.
Yeah.
And so then they're this other person. So then, okay, so then like correlate that back to you now. So were you trying to be somebody else?
No, I think it's just realizing, it's like, it's hard to realize, like, you get misunderstood a lot, especially when you make, like, I meet people that only know me from what they've seen. They're like, oh, I saw you on TikTok. And I was like, now you get what I'm doing on TikTok. I'm a non-voter. All I'm trying to do is get views. I don't have a problem with Erica Kirk. You know, I don't have a problem. Like I did a thing with Jelly Roll where I just vented and went off on Jelly Roll. I've never even listened to his music. I just had an idea of how to like shit on him. And then it got like 4 million views, and his wife came in and she got in the comments and we went back and forth. The whole time, I don't have a problem with him. Like,
it was just for views.
It worked and it got views, and it got like 4 million views, and it got his wife to block me on Instagram. And it's like, she should be smarter, because and I don't have a problem with it. I'm just saying, like, dude, like, if you were a little brighter,
if you're a celebrity, like, and that's the thing. Again, I have not gotten to that point yet, but having worked with so many people, and I believe that's like how you understand it as well, like from the publicist side and from the interviewer side, is like, that like this is the game.
It's a game.
This is just a game, and like the whole, it's like how like and the whole I don't know how to say it, but like the pegs or the whatever it's called, like that you go up the ladder or something. It's all built off of just arbitrary. You make it up as you go.
Yeah.
And so it's a game that you make up. So like, and all I'm saying about that is like, if somebody like Jelly Roll or Jelly Roll's wife or whatever, she should know. People in that category should know already that they are playing the game.
And that's what it comes down to, is like I could see things a mile away, and then what I don't see a mile away is things that are not like me. So the fandom that I started getting, I didn't understand, and it took me a while. I was like, because I'm not really a fan of anything, and like the latching on made me uncomfortable because it's not like that. You're always afraid of what you don't understand. Now, when I started really getting a lot of views, I had trolls, and I had one troll in particular that, like, he would come in and he would make comments during the interview, and he would make 10 comments a minute. And that is true. And I would count them. And he was funny.
Okay.
But he would shit on me, and like he would look and he would make things up. And I thought he was on Instagram Live, they'd be like, well, just block him. And I said, no. And like all the other.
Why? Because he was driving more traffic, or because he was funny?
Because I wanted to. I said, dude, I was like, listen, he would get people that were also interviewers, like in reality TV. So he would get them to like yell at him, like on on live and stuff. I was like, bro, I was like, you know why? I was like, because I've trolled. I was like, I used to get celebrities to get in Twitter beefs with me, and it was great. It was just like when Jelly Roll's wife. I was like, hey, thanks for the comment. Thanks for blocking me. Yeah. Like, I was like, bro, you're not. Like, I know you. I was like, you could sit here. I was like, bro, you wrote 10 comments a minute for a 50. I was like, that's 500 comments. And that's not I was like,
that's not an exaggeration.
Yeah, I was like, you can look. And that interview was actually on Jimmy Kimmel, and you could see the comments scrolling, and everybody's like, block. I was like, bro, you can sit there and shit on me. Like, because I used to work with like the Yin Yang Twins and like DMX and like.
That's
Warren
crazy.
Right. But he would make it sound like I would brag about it.
Yeah.
Like, he'd be like, his Dom mentioned that he would.
You would talk on your behalf.
He would. I was like, and I never did that, and like it would make me laugh.
Oh, that's
like,
what it is.
So he would act like I would name drop. Like,
so in the comments, he was like,
while I was interviewed, so I couldn't.
Oh, that's so funny.
And I would. See
I would
it,
laugh too.
And I would sit there like, and I wouldn't like want him to know. But I was like, I would. Because I smoke cigars and like wear sunglasses and stuff, but I was like, I would read it and it would make me laugh because I was like, bro, I do not do that. Like, so he would, and he would, but then I was like, dude, because I was like, bro, you like me.
Yeah.
I was like, it's like you know, like, he's like, you're not gonna get me to be upset. And I was like, bro, if you 500 comments, like, bro, that's a compliment, and I mean that. I was like, you put aside all this time, like. Like, and then one day I did this thing and I was live and I was getting like, I would get a pedicure and I would go live and I would make jokes with like the people doing my, and they would, and then I went and paid for it. And I got a DM, on the live, and then I shut it off. And he was like, "Hey, idiot, you want to take that last video down?" And I was like, and I didn't even respond. He was like, "Your whole credit card number is on there." And I looked, I was like,
Oh shit.
and I was like, "Bro, thank you."
Honestly,
he's
thanks.
Like, you fucking moron. I was like, "You know what, dude? If you really hated me, like, it's like, that's why I was like, dude, you don't hate." I was like, you could have like, if you really wanted me to like be like, you helped me, and like, it's just an act, It was
Yeah.
like, I understand you come on here just because then you get attention. Like, there's that troll, like, block him. I was like, I'm not gonna block. I don't block anyone. That was my thing, But like, I was like, bro, I know that you like me, and now he's still like, he's still right, but he kind of like left the act. But he really did upset a lot of people, but he couldn't upset me because I understand it. And that's where I think that a lot, but I also troll, I used to do it. And I was like, bro, you're not going to get me, but that's where I think it's hard. Like when you talk about fame, it's like, I was like, bro, I know what you're doing. But there are some areas where I was like, I didn't get it, like, like the things that people would do online. So a lot of times it was with girls. Like I hadn't been single. I didn't know. I got married in 2003, and then I was single in like 2019. There's a lot changed. And then I would get DMs. And I was like, oh my God, she's so hot. That's her because she sent me this picture. Like, I mean, you got to understand how stupid I am. Like, I hadn't dated since 2003. I was like, she sent me a picture. So that's the girl. It's like, idiot. Like, people catfish. And people, like, it's like,
Yeah.
I can't think that way because everything about me is it's a Dom Natty show. It's my face. It's about me. Like, I don't hide behind fake accounts. And then I had another girl that would come in with 3 accounts into the live. And then she would like act like people wanted me. Like she would almost like promote herself. Like, oh my gosh, you guys should be together. But it was her. Just women are fucking nuts. Like, but it's like I was sitting there reading it, believe it was like, oh, I guess everybody likes this girl. And I was like, and it was her with other like tablets, like because I guess she liked me, and she just like, and that's what. So other women were like, dude, she's really weird. Like she's obsessed with you. And I was like, but that's where it's difficult because I'm like, dude, I'm not that guy. You can say I'm funny, you could say I'm entertaining, but like when I became single and like dealing with that was very overwhelming. It was like obsessed with me, like it's weird, and then I just never thought that someone would come in with 4 accounts and start like I didn't know, and that's where I didn't think the troll wasn't going to get me because I was the troll, but I was not the guy with fake accounts because why would I come in with a fake account? The whole point is to promote me.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So here's my, it sounds like there's been a lot of introspection from 47-year-old you to, this is what I'm curious about because you've got a lot of wisdom with all of this. What would you have wished 47-year-old you would have told younger you whenever you were starting this out? When you were like getting going, like was there something that you needed to hear, or was there something that like you wish you would have heard or wanted to know or understand?
Yeah, I think the most important thing was to always kind of look and see where you are at, and it's just like that honesty. But I don't know if there's something I would have told myself that I didn't. Like moving out here was I did this thing that's very weird. And it was very weird for my friends. Like I realized that my website was Dom, me and Steve Harvey, me and Will Ferrell, me and whoever, Shaquille O'Neal, whatever celebrity. I've taken like hundreds, and so I would put that like, hey guys, look how important I am. You know what I mean? And then I realized, and I would watch people. You know, this is the delay that's really dangerous, right? So then I started realizing, I was like, I would show people, or people would see it, and they go, okay, like younger people. It's like, oh yeah.
Like okay and kind of thing?
Yeah, it was just like, oh, I know who that is. I was like, oh, that's Kodak Black. That's me and King Bach. I was like, they're younger. Maybe, you know, I was like, yeah, I know they're there. It's like, and the times had changed where it's like, and then they would follow me on TikTok or whatever. And kind of like what you did. It's like, you know, really, okay, it's cool. You took pictures. I don't really give a shit. Like, but it's more that, let me watch your TikTok and see what you're doing. You know? But in my old brain, I was just like, yeah, but look at it. I interviewed this guy. It's like, okay. Like, I don't care that they're a celebrity. Like, I want to watch your content, you know, and that changed. So if there's anything to go back and say, it's like, just watch, like, if you're trying to be in this business, like, don't be so far behind. Like, you got to realize like where people are at, you know, and don't get so stuck on a certain thing where you realize like, dude, nobody cares about that, you know, like people want you to help them, like how you're helping your clients. Yeah.
So don't be married to an idea.
Don't be married to that's a better way to put it. Like, don't be married to an idea. It's a terrible thing to do. And just because you see people, like the biggest danger is, like, I don't know if you know who Chevy Chase is, right? So he's
yes, I not too familiar, but I know the name.
He was a big actor in like the 80s, and then they just did a documentary on Netflix, and he's just a douchebag, and he's like, you know, thinks he's really arrogant, and it's like, bro, you're the last one to know, and nobody gives a shit about your movies from the 80s. Like, it's 2026. Like, so the whole documentary is about what a fucking asshole you are. Like, and you're the only one that doesn't see it because you're sitting there like,
thinking you're the best.
I'm a big actor. Like, no, you were, like, and soon, like, in the fact that you don't know who he is accurate. Like, that's how it is now. But there are people that are old, like Bill Murray. Do you know who that is?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, you know who Bill Murray is, who was also a big actor at the same time. However, it's how he conducts himself. You know, like he doesn't carry himself that way, and that's what people care about. You know, and I think that's something. When I moved out here, I did something very weird, and when I said, I'm going to live like I did that 27-year-old kid. That's who I need to tap into. So I threw out all my furniture, and I
kind of love this.
Oh, dude, I put everything into my Tesla X, and if I couldn't fit in there, then it didn't come. And I drove across the country from Virginia to Phoenix, and I said, I'm going to start over, and I'm going to live the way I did 20 years ago when I had no job. And when my wife at the time said, you know, you're going to get a job in video. And I said, I want to go back and I want to work in television and sports like I did then, you know, in media. And so I was like, well, I have nowhere to stay, you know. So I was like, I'll have to get an Airbnb. And I stayed at like shitty hotels, like cheap, like Motel 6. And, you know, and then I said, well, I'm not going to get an Airbnb by myself. So on Airbnb for like $45 a night, you could just rent a bed and you share a bathroom.
This is so admirable. I love this.
Yeah. And I would go to, and no offense to these places, but like Glendale and like some of these places I knew were very cheap for a reason. Yeah. And I would just rent a room and I'd walk in and it's like college students, you know, and I would just have the bed, and then you get up, you got to piss in them, and then you got to put your shirt, just in case someone's in there, you don't want to walk out in your underwear, you know. Yeah. And then some nights I would, you know, there was like break-ins. I would hear about break-ins in the area. One night I was smoking a cigar in the driveway, and I heard gunshots and stuff, and I would check my car, see, you know, if it was still out there, or if people broke into it, and like. And then the one lady, like, then sometimes I dress up and I put on like Louis Vuitton, like shoes and like, and the one lady like kind of followed me out to the driveway and she was like my age. She was like, I made you some coffee. And like, she sees all my stuff in the trunk, but clearly I could afford more than $45. And she's just like looking at me like
why?
Is everything okay? And I was like, no, I need to find that person and just be like, no, and this is all I could afford, even though it's not, it's not about being like, oh, I'll get a nice place. And like, for what? Like, I don't need that guy. You know what I mean?
Well, what's so interesting is like literally, and I'm sure you know who Gary Vaynerchuk is.
Yeah.
He was saying that like he's this was so funny because I was listening to one of his Daily V or whatever the new thing is that he's doing, and one of the videos was saying just this where he was saying if I could just God, I wish I could say it like him, but he was like, if I could start over right now, I would because I want to just be able to just build it back up. Yeah. Like if I could just get rid of everything and just start over. Like he's like, I can't because I have all these responsibilities and I have all these people and I got the payroll and for the past 30 something years I got to pay the payroll. But he was saying like, if I could just start over and just like go back to what you were saying, I would. And I think it's just so interesting. Did you hear that? Is that what?
No. That's actually makes me feel like I'm not such of a psychopath.
No.
Like,
And I think, and I'm just saying, like, first off, it's good to be a psychopath. But second off, it was so interesting to hear him, of all people, say that, like, just let me just start all over from nothing because, like, and I think it was the adversity. I think he wanted the adversity. I think he wanted the challenge and the pressure. And what it felt like whenever you had like $0 and you had to weasel your way into all of these places to then find the opportunities to then grow, to then do all that. So maybe that's what it is. Maybe
that's good to hear. Yeah, like honestly, like I'm happy because I really have been.
I will find that video for you.
Yeah,
too.
like he's right. Like I can't explain it like any other way. And it's like even like I get up in the morning and like they would have, you guys like they write their name on the eggs. Like there was like a shared refrigerator.
So they wrote it on the eggs.
They would be like,
I've never heard that before.
Yeah, like I'd look in the fridge because I'm on this GLP, so I had to put my GLP in the fridge.
Yeah.
And then I would see like, in this shared Airbnb, and then they'd kind of look at me like, whose dad is here? Like I was just like, all right, kids, have a good day at school. It's like, and then
That's
like,
really funny.
and then I also like, I had like the nicest car out there. I was like, please don't steal my car.
Yeah,
but it was like, like I loved it, and like even like my friends were like, dude, are you okay? I was like,
clearly not, dude.
Like, dude, like why are you living like this? And to the point, like. Like where I got this condo, for my son's going to ASU, and I was like, all right, well, I'll get him this condo, and then they like wanted my bank statements, and they looked at them, and they were like, no. And I was like, where are your, like, I mean, dude, it was just like, they were like, they didn't approve me, and I was like, well, what do you want to see? And so I showed them some other things. I was like, listen, here's an account with whatever, like this has got like 2 years worth of the lease. And they're like, yeah, but why is it over here? I was like, it doesn't matter. It's like the point is
got
like
different bank accounts. Shut up.
And there's like, but where are your deposits? I was like, I'm not making deposits. Like I'm just. And they're like, well, then we're just not comfortable. Like, and they didn't approve me. And I was like, yeah. And I was
how does that feel like?
I mean, and I'm just sitting there, and then I was talking to my friend. She's like, that's because you're being such a fucking. Like, what are you doing? I was like. I don't have to make deposits. I was like, the fact that they know I could pay off a few years of the lease, like, she's like, no, so I had to get a cosigner. And she's like, I'll cosign. I was like, stop, what are you doing? And I was like, and I was like, I'm not paying, because I was like, I'm not paying the whole lease. I was like, but the fact that I could do that, I was like, but I didn't know if they thought I was like doing, I don't know.
To be honest though, like it's just, the reason why I feel like it's admirable is because like, somebody, you said you're 47.
Yeah.
So let me get my thoughts here.